I have a confession to make. I never hire B2B demand gen marketers. And today, I'm going to tell you why. Let's dive into it. Hey folks, Bill Masitis here. Thank you so much for joining SaaS CMO Pro. My mission is to educate and entertain marketers, VCs, founders on modern SaaS and AI marketing. So thank you again for joining today. We got a fun topic, which is why I never would hire a B2B demand gen marketer. And why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah, why is that?
Okay, so let me take a step back here. I philosophically think that marketing is something that all the teams in marketing should be working together. You know, a lot of times in marketing, you will break down all these discrete functions or skill sets.
Skill, baby, skill.
People that are great at SEM. People that are great at content marketing. People are great at SEO. People are great at customer stories. People are great at PR. People are great at AR. People are great at product marketing, right? It's all these different teams here. And philosophically, I've always believed that in marketing, you should have some top-level marketing metrics for your team. You should have things like some brand metrics, right? Like we want to move up our aided recall from 32% to 38%. You may want to have like, hey, we want to bring in X amount of pipeline or X amount of MQLs. You may want to think about how you can make your company's experience better. Hey, we're going to improve the Net Promoter Score from a 50 to a 58. You may have some PLG metrics that you want to help out with, right? You may want to improve the amount of daily active users you have.
Improvements.
Yeah. Or you may want to improve the amount of product qualified leads that you have. So you have these top level metrics. And what always frustrated me was when someone would come in and go, hey, Bill, like we need to make more leads. Well, just have the demand gen team do that, right? They're one team, but like everyone in marketing needs to be working. If that's our top goal, if our top goal is MQLs, which again, I don't think that's the best goal and that should be your only goal, but let's just say that is your goal. Well, hey, we need to bring in, our creatives that are on the marketing team to help with this goal. We need to help, our PR and our comms team, they're going to help with this. Our analyst relations can help with this. The product marketers can help with this. The folks that know SEM can help with this. The folks that know display advertising can help with this. The folks that know content marketing can help with this. That's an everyone metric. That's a long way of saying, like, I don't like the label demand gen.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
Now, would I hire a demand gen marketer? Yes, of course. I would hire someone that had a demand gen background, but I would never hire them for a demand gen role. Because I just think, like, the term demand gen just kind of indicates that, like, hey, this is the only team that does demand gen. And I just haven't found that to be the case, right? And I would even argue in a larger sense, marketing is not the only team that's responsible for creating demand within a company. Like, I think in an old world of B2B, like that's how it was. But what you see now with AI tools and B2B SaaS tools is you have things like product-led growth, you have things like freemium, virality loops. There's a lot of different ways that people become aware of your product, that people buy your product, that try your product out. And this involves finance and product and sales and marketing, like a whole bunch of teams, right? So just looking at marketing and going, hey, you're the only ones that are in charge of growth. Now, maybe that's okay if it's like, hey, you're leading a cross-functional effort to improve the growth, right? And you're like the leader of that. But I didn't like when someone would just look at marketing and go, hey, you're the only team that can control that growth. I think there's a lot of other teams that also contribute to your growth. And within marketing, I never liked that, hey, just go to the demand gen team. Now, so what I would end up doing is a lot of these teams that I had underneath me, I would just call it more like what they actually did. So for instance, like we'd have like a paid media team.
The media?
Yeah, the media.
Or you could call it a campaigns team, right? Or an SEM team or a display team, display ad team, right? Like their function was, hey, they would go out and buy ads a lot of times, right? For these different media, maybe it was an ABM campaign, was an SEM campaign, whatever it was. To make that campaign successful, they needed to work with product marketing, right? To think about the copy, the landing pages, the offers, the pricing and packaging, and they need to work with creative, right? To bring in those assets to make these, these ads more powerful. They need to work with comms and PR, and maybe they're doing a joint effort there. There's so many teams that they need to work with in marketing. What I found too is that like the marketing orgs where all these teams are just separate and siloed and they don't work together, they're forced to work on projects that only they can control. And those projects end up being very limited in scope, so they don't have as much impact. Whereas when you are taking projects on at an overall marketing team level, and maybe you have 5 projects that you want to do this year, but each one of those projects leverages all the resources of the teams. You tend to get all these different skill sets, which make that project have a much bigger impact than if you had just, been hands off and just said, okay, all you sub-marketing teams, you just do what you do, and most likely they don't end up working together. And so anyway, that's a very long way of saying, I don't like the demand gen term. I do like demand gen, folks. And a lot of times, again, you're doing these kind of discrete roles of ABM and SEM and paid ads to try to create demand. But I do think, again, it's one of these areas where that term can be used in the right way and to help educate everyone around what is marketing's role, what are these paid campaigns people's roles, and how when working together with other teams, they can make the biggest impact. So anyways, I would love to hear from you guys. Do you think demand gen is the right name for it, right? Should you have demand gen folks? Do you have them on your team? If you're a demand gen marketer, you have that in your title. Do you like that? Do you think it should be called something else? I read all these comments. I realize this is a little bit of a controversial topic, so I'm expecting some fireworks in the comments below, but let me know your thoughts. I read all of them, and thanks again for joining SaaS CMO Pro.